Welcome back to Inspayre.
At the end of our last episode, we told you that we'd be bringing you part 2 of the Miguel Bourne story. In part 1, we looked at his accident and spoke to his parents about his journey to recovery. We will now meet the miracle himself, Miguel Bourne. Stay with us for part 2.
Going from his parents being told to be prepared to deal with a vegetable, a term used to refer to a person being awake but showing no signs of awareness, to now being a sprightly, optimistic, talkative guy, being able to interact with Miguel is an experience of epic proportions. We are happy to report that Miguel's treatments have allowed him to regain his speech, significant movement in his arms and legs, and his short-term memory is returning. Each time we meet Miguel, we are constantly entertained and in awe of how, despite what was a tragic ordeal, he's able to bring joy and cheer to those around him. Even during therapy, he will always find a way to bring a light moment to these sessions. We couldn't keep all the joy to ourselves, so we invite you to meet Miguel. Take us to before he started therapy, how he started, gaining back some weight, and how he got back on his feet, walking. Take us through that process.
With the weight issue, when he was in the hospital, as you said, earlier, we saw that he was really losing weight. His eyes, you can see it in his face, in the joints. The joints look bigger than the leg itself and everything like that.
So it's where,
right.
So it's where,
and I inquired from the nutritionist, and she said that's the required amount of feed that he was supposed to get. But as I said, I think we always keep in contact with Trinidad, and I remember calling Dr. Penn, and he asked what's his recommended amount of feed that he's getting. So I told him, he said no, they have to increase it. At this time now, he was at home and we were following what they were saying at Mount St. John. So I just inquired about it, and he said, increase the dose. Give him more. He's a young man, he's healthy. You have to feed him.
Every 2 hours. Give him something every 2 hours.
2 hours, no matter what.
And in terms of feeding, you would feed him?
No, through the tube. He still had in the tube there.
Still wasn't taking anything through the motors yet. Right. So he said, just increase it. And we have to give him water. So I, as you said, we Googled again, YouTube, and the mighty Google, and they call it hard water. I don't know the reason why they call it hard water, but they say a person in that state, you give them hard water. Checked out what is hard water, it's just regular water. Just give him water to drink through the same tube, and a week and a half, we can see the improvements, and gradually just came right back out to himself.
With the foods that we were giving him.
The food that we were giving him. The increased amounts. And he was getting some food sometimes lazy.
He met.
Give him mine. Even though it's liquefied. Because you have to liquefy it to give it, but we got that.
All right, and that takes me now to when he actually, started standing, or when did you get into contact with the therapist?
I think his first appointment at Mount St. John to do physical therapy was in May.
May.
Yes, it was in May, but it was COVID again. So they said that it's postponed or cancelled, and they can't give an next date when it will be. So I got in contact with someone, and they told me about Dr. Matthews. They put us on to Dr. Matthews, and he was willing to help us. When he saw his condition, in you can call it the malnutrition stage. Yeah, when he saw him, he said, he told us, he said to himself, what am I going to do with this child? As I said, he didn't tell us that right away. He told us months after. And I can remember the first thing he told him was to raise his right hand. And I can remember Doc stooping out in front of him. He's in the chair, tell him to raise his hand, and he did it. He raised his hand, and I myself was surprised because he wasn't really following command that much. And when you see that for yourself, you feel good.
Yeah. And so in starting with Dr. Matthew, little by little, you were able to see him making gradual progress. What were some of the things that Dr. Matthew would have done with him?
Firstly, he was getting him to follow the same commands, like more and more, like instructing him to do things. Then he started getting him to the process of standing, like putting him in a standing frame where he can build his muscle in his legs. And then, he started doing exercises, like just basically strengthening his muscles in his body, but very gradual, little by little, every day. And he just kept getting stronger and stronger. And then he started standing on his own. He started walking. So everything just keep falling into place. It was just...
I can remember the first time he went to the standing frame that he actually passed out.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you think of it, you're lying down, since
like
January
5 months.
1st.
5 months.
And then in May, you were forced to stand up.
And that intense pain and...
Yes. And the muscles are strong.
Yes. With a strap him on the bed, it was a standing bed.
Mm-hmm.
And bring him up. So the first time you're going to be elevated like that.
Wow.
Yes, and then they had to administer oxygen because he was kind of fainting and getting cold sweat and stuff like that. Yeah. And I started panicking.
Again.
I was like, what is this? What's happening now,
We've come so far, and now what's going on again?
But after that day, it's like, he started getting accustomed to it, and he's standing longer and longer. Every day he's increasing the time, doing more exercises, and everybody there was just amazed at his improvement.
That intense therapy with Dr. Matthew was for a period of how many? It's still ongoing. It's still ongoing, but you also had some additional assistance through the Calvin Ayre Foundation by going to the Friends Foundation and getting physiotherapy, the extra physiotherapy there, as well as counseling, speech therapy. Tell me a little bit about that.
Under the foundation, we have a therapist and we have counselor. What are you interested? And I was like, yes, of course. The more the merrier. And we went there. They made the point. We went there. We were introduced to the system. So you got the physiotherapy, and happily, the physiotherapist was somebody that he acquainted with, because he's a volleyball player. So that same therapist used to work with them, like before games, like do the stretches. So he was acquainted with her, so that gave him a sense of comfort, So he was actually anxious to work with her. And then came along with the speech therapist. Everything just started falling into place, and then they realized that you need counseling. So they even had that available, even for myself, because they realized that this is not only about Miguel, it's about his family and the people that are dealing with him. Because trust me, it's a lot. It's not about the person that the actual person that's going through it, but also the family that has to see it and deal with it. It also affects us a lot. So they even assist me with counseling, which we're very grateful for. And it came a long way. Even with Miguel, his attitude change, his thinking change, his behavior change. So even his writing skills, his writing skill changed.
His cognitive skills,
Yeah.
they were,
Yes.
he's trying to redevelop his skills that he would have lost.
Even that improved because of the foundation and the system that they have and the program, you know, all of that helped him. Because we can see the difference, because although he was getting the physiotherapist at NSC, he wasn't getting that type, dealing with him, his personalities and all that within. So that part, I was so happy that we started that also. So we kind of divided his time, some days at NSA, some days at the Care Foundation. So, it wasn't too much. It just helped him along the way, and we see vast improvement.
And there's another thing that the Calvin Ayre Foundation would have assisted also is with Miguel's dental.
After going to therapy and going to therapy, we said, okay, the therapy is helping. But then he started saying things like, I want back my smile. I want back, because when before the accident, I was saying enough. He liked to go in the mirror and take selfies. He was full of himself. So it's like, because of the tooth being missing, due to the accident, he got damaged because he hit his mouth, apparently. So they were very loose. So when they went to do the trach, when he was doing the insertion of the trach in Trinidad, they had to remove that one because it was very loose and it was afraid for him being going down the throat. Yes, so they just make a decision that they're going to take that one out. There was 3 of them that was loose. Me and Edward started looking into, how we going to fix this. Remember, we already financially challenged. How we going to fix this? And everybody know implant is very expensive. So we started thinking now, okay. So I reached out again to Calvin Ayre Foundation, explain the situation, and they were willing to assist us. It's like, okay, just get to your quote. They were ready, like, just get the quotation and we're going to work on it. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Because I know me, I'm going to smile again. But before even reaching out to them, we were trying to do it on our own, but the cost, oh my God, it was expensive. So we know that it's nothing that we could have handled on our own. So after they were willing, we started getting into the consultation, one after the other. But when we actually did the consultation, it was more than what we were thinking. It wasn't just simply an implant, because the bone was broken in the skeleton frame in the mouth. So they couldn't have the implant wouldn't have worked. Then they had some nerve issues, some nerve damage also. So it would have cost me even more than what we were thinking, because we were inquiring just about the implant. But all in all, the dentist gave us the breakdown when he did his check, everything that has to be done, how, when, and where. And we transferred the information to the Calvin Ayre, and they were just like, whatever it's going to take, how much it's going to take, and we ready and just get it done. And eventually, he got his smile back, and he was so happy. I could see the joy in his face today. He just, till this day, he never stopped smiling. He started back taking his selfie in the mirror and all these things. So yes, so happy for that.
We couldn't keep all the joy to ourselves, and right after this break, we'll get to see Miguel smile. Discover the Caribbean from a new perspective with Calvin Ayre Helicopters. Call us today at 789-4354 or email reservations@calvinayre.com. Welcome back to Inspayre, and we're so happy that you're able to join us because right now we're sitting in the presence of the star of the show, Miguel Bourne, and he calls himself the star of the show because all of this conversation was really about him and the ordeal that he would have gone through. And you were the two people who were actually seeing everything. Miguel was not even coherent. Miguel knew absolutely nothing. Miguel, welcome to Inspayre.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I just want to, thank you all so much.
You have your stepdad here and your mom here.
Hey. And honestly, I don't know what I would have done without them. Honestly, my stepfather, he's not my actual biological father, but he's not far from it.
Not far at
he's
all.
Not far at all.
And he stepped in to really pick up,
And honestly, I've been close to him for so long. He started to feel like my real father.
And tell me, up to what point? I know you didn't remember anything about. Did you remember anything about the accident at all?
Well, okay. Honestly, I can remember a little bit. It's like, as they said, I was doing some stuff at home, and I kept in contact with the man that was supposed to carry me to where I was working, Nocturnal.
Like before.
Yes, and he was telling me things, and I was keeping in contact with him because he has to carry me to the next event that I'm going to work at. Yeah, so I was keeping in contact with him and just giving him directions to where I'm staying and stuff like that.
And then after that, when you got into the car...
I can't remember anything about it.
So you can't remember anything about the accident. At what point did you start to remember?
The thing I remember is my therapy session. Well, when I started at Dr. Matthew, the physiotherapist, I remember when I believe that was my first day. And it was like I was getting introduced to the place and stuff like that, and when he was like, when they were like, oh, he's not responsive or anything, I heard him say, Miguel, raise your hands. Why not? When they started showing me how malnourished I was, I was like, who's that? Who's that? That's not me. That's not me. But honestly, I'm very glad and grateful to where I'm right now. My mother told me when they had carried me in, and me and Dr. Matthew always make fun about it. I call him Mr. Matthew. He's like, he was like, he looked at me and he was like, it's what I want to do with this. It's what I want to do with this. So, and then I remember going in the frame, and honestly, that was the worst pain of my life. That was the worst pain of my life. Because it was like my left leg, this is a new word to me. Contusion. That's where like the muscles, I think lock up and stuff like that.
And then all the therapy sessions with Dr. Matthew and at the Friends Foundation.
Yes.
I'm sure you're happy with your progress thus far.
Of course.
Would you like to say anything about that?
And I got further help with a Friends Foundation with another therapist. Her name is Mona. Mona, I don't know her last name.
Mona Gardner.
Mona Gardner. But, and honestly, you can ask mommy. I always want to go there.
You always want to go to the sessions because they're always so good. And
Yes,
look at how far
yes.
you've come, Miguel.
Of course. I could have never done it without the strength from our Almighty Lord.
Indeed, indeed. What would you like? I know off camera you are practicing an advice that you would like to give,
Yes.
especially young drivers in
Yes.
particular, on these roads in Antigua and
Yes,
Barbuda. Tell
and
me
it's
what
like,
you'd like to say.
and it's like you know, in school, it's like you're like, boy, if it was, I wish I was driving this, and I wish I was driving that. But me now, I'm like, if I would have just stayed home, I would have been in this situation right now. But the thing is, it made me more mature.
You'd want to give any advice to young people out there?
Take your times on the road. Fast drivers everywhere, so take your time. Take your time.
Now you want to be a motivational speaker. Tell me about that.
It's like my life took a turn. Some people will say for the worse, but I would say for the better. Because I have such a better perspective of life now. And it's like, I'm like, give God all the glory and all the praise. You know, just waking up. A lot of people haven't woken up. But you have woken up, and that's enough to be grateful and thankful for.
And that has motivated me even now. You have been through such a terrible ordeal, and there are those of us who under normal circumstances feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. And here is this young man who stared death in the face, and he's still here telling us that he's grateful. Kendria, any particular persons that you'd like to wrap up and say thank you to? And if you don't remember, I know that hubby will will fill in for you, but we're closing, and just anything that you'd like to say in closing.
First of all, I'd like to thank God for
Of course.
giving my son giving a second chance. Like he said, some people will say this is baby's life, turn to the worst. But I have gained a better child. And he's so different now. He thinks about life differently. The way he speaks, the way he acts, it's like I gained a better child after that day. Like he was rebirthed on the day of the accident.
True.
And I thank God every day for him, even though it was hard and all the struggles we've been through with everything. It even strengthened me, myself. It brought our family together. We take life more serious. We did so much together through everything that went on. We come together as a family. So I'd like to thank God first of all for strengthening us and giving Miguel a second chance, making him a better person. I'd like to thank Edward, my significant other, for being strong, for just being there for me. Some days when I think I can't go on, he's like, we have to do this. Be by Miguel's side as a father. That has brought me a long way. Everywhere I turn, he's there, helping me, Miguel, everything. My family, I couldn't do it without them either. COVID was there, so everybody was home. I thank God for COVID, even though it was tentative,
Right.
in the world, but it played a positive role in my life in the situation, because everybody was home. So I get a lot of support in every way, because my family was home. They was able to assist me in taking care of him, even assist, helping me emotionally. Sometimes they would, just say, go ahead, go and get some rest, because, like sleepless nights I got also with Miguel. So they was like, go sleep, go upstairs, got a bed and we're up to, go upstairs, don't worry about Miguel, go and take your rest. And if it wasn't for COVID and they were at home, that could have happened. So I thank
God.
thank my family also, for their support and
True.
stuff like that. I thank Sandy Barry for first of all for making it possible, because if I didn't contact her,
Right.
we couldn't get him to Trinidad. She worked day and night with us, make all the phone calls, all the arrangements. Like I could have called her anytime, early in the morning, late in the night. She's a part of the Michael family. They also assisted, help us to make the necessary calls and arrangements. So to getting him to Trinidad and getting things in place. I thank them also. I thank the Baron and Shara Hunt for assisting us financially. Most of all, I thank the Calvin Ayre Foundation. I remember the day when he had to put the final signature on I can't remember if it was a check or the letter. And he was actually on the beach. Yes, I heard a conversation that he was on the beach, and he just take the time out of his personal time to do that for us. So I also thank you. Like, we're very grateful for everybody, even who send prayers, just a phone call to find out how we doing. All his friends, his volleyball coach, the volleyball association, the nurses and the doctors at Mount St. John, even though, things didn't go how we wanted it to go there, but we still thankful for them, God has still put them in place.
That's true.
To help us.
Sure.
Everybody who, in whatever little way they assist us with prayers, everyone that some of them might think, we didn't acknowledge them, or because I can recall getting messages that a year after I'd seen a message because of so much I was dealing with. So maybe they might think that, it went and it wasn't recognized, but I thank everyone.
Yes, indeed. And Edward?
I would like to thank the doctors and nurses in Trinidad, more so. Dr. Penn, this guy is just outstanding. Dr. Knight, Mrs. Paula Morris, she's a hospital administrator. All the nurses, the doctors, can't remember all the names. And also right here in Antigua at Mount St. John. Thank you for the job that you did. Being assisted also.
And how can we forget the Friends Foundation?
Of course.
Forget them. They were so welcoming, everybody, even the persons that was working with Miguel, because, they have the other teachers that work with special needs children. Even them, they would encourage Miguel and they would talk to him and, and everybody did like a family. They always welcome us, welcome him. He was so comfortable going there that he wanted to go there every day, but he couldn't have. So we thank them, Mona, Alea,
Mr. Robinson.
We have the late Wendy. She's not there anymore. Unfortunately, she passed, but all the teachers and all the members there, we thank them. Yes.
Well, this has been a really, really touching and heartwarming interview sitting here with you guys and Miguel, even more so you, because you're actually here to tell us your story. Your parents would have told your entire story when you were not coherent, but now here you are to actually tell the tale. So thank you guys so much for sharing that with us. We know it was a challenge and it did take us some time before we could get you guys on camera, but thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and we send all God's blessings to you and your family continuously. As I'm sure you've seen for yourself, Miguel is a bright, handsome, and amazing young man. Above all else, a true overcomer. He still has a long way to go before he's able to return to activities and tasks he once engaged in. But for now, this spectacular young man, his parents, as well as the rest of his family, are happy about all that has been accomplished thus far. Some days are better than others, but nonetheless, they are elated that they still have each other. We surely hope you found this special episode spectacular and inspiring. I'm Jamila Kerwan. Do join us again for another edition of Inspayre.